as planned in May and June, though we will make sure that pupils get the qualifications they need and deserve.
The headache for them when they've been working towards those exams. I know you're going to bring out more detail, but is your feeling that those qualifications will now
further back in the summer, whether it is possible to run them in September?
Look, I don't know about you guys, but when that news came through, I was devastated. I mean, my world literally came crashing down, as I'm sure some of you must have also felt the very same way too. I get what's going on out there, but at the same token, I just can't help to think that we were compounding so much momentum. Me and my team were putting in an outstanding amount of effort day after day. I mean, we had such an amazing run with the 11 plus, the November exams, and even more recently with the January exams. And these summer exams were supposed to have been the greatest ever. And then it just came crashing down within a split moment. I know the decision's been made and that exams are cancelled, and I've come to terms with it. And I also understand that this is for the greater good. So today, I'm going to go through the implication of the government's decision on this and try and wrap up some of your questions on this matter. So do try and stick around until the end of this video. As we all are aware, the examinations for GCSEs, IGCSEs, International A-Levels, IBs and A-Levels have all been cancelled for the traditional summer dates of May and June of 2020. And the government has now implemented a set of guidelines to try and award the grades fairly so that no student is at a disadvantage. Now, this decision is bound to affect students differently and in all sorts of ways. What I'd like to make very clear from this onset is that the grading system is not entirely based on predicted grades. I want to make this very clear, as many people have been contacting me and making this assumption. There is a guideline that has been drawn, but it's still not fully processed as of yet. In fact, as an examiner myself, I've been liaising with the exam boards on a daily basis, and the complete guidelines are yet to be released. However, with this outline that has been roughly drawn out, we've got some sort of indication of what the government is seeking. So what we do know is the following. The exam boards have been assigned to ask the teachers who know their students to use their professional judgment and try and estimate what the student would have achieved should they have gone on to complete their exams. Now, the exam boards are very conscientious of the fact that teachers can steer either way, in the sense that some teachers will be biased. This isn't to say that teachers are deliberately doing this, as this is just a natural thing that we're all prone to. And this is exactly why your grades are not going to be solely based on the teacher's judgment. So I just want you to rule that out before you start taking what your teacher says as the definitive results. As I've mentioned, the exam boards are very aware that teachers can underpredict as well as overpredicting cases, the latter of course being more prominent. Also, as teachers are going to be requested to provide information, they're likely to be using mock results. Now, we all know that the vast majority of us don't take it too seriously or don't perform too strongly in these mock exams. And this is why these assessment guidelines can be a little bit hazy. Now, how the exam boards will process this information will most likely differ from subject to subject, as well as from GCSEs to A-Levels. So as I've mentioned, teachers have been asked to compile evidence so that the examination boards can create a true, accurate reflection of the students' projected grades. But this can differ significantly from subject to subject, for example, from science to art, let's say. But so that we don't actually end up with loads of grade 7s, 8s and 9s, Ofqual, which is the overarching regulatory body for exams in the UK, has stated that this year's results will be no different to previous years, in the sense that it will follow the same pattern, meaning the distribution of the grades will still be the same as previous years. So last year, for example, approximately 20% of students went on to achieve grades 7, 8s and 9s. So this would mean that the same proportion of students will achieve these set of results this year also. The government has also stated that they will most likely be using the SATs test that students have sat in year 6 as one of the indicators to see what the students in previous years with the same scores have gone on to achieve, and use that as an indicative score. Now, in all honesty, this, in my opinion, is tough to call, since the gap between SATs and GCSE is humongous, and students all have a different learning cycle. For example, some accelerate when they're younger and then dip, and for others it's the opposite way around, and they start slow and get better as they age. Very few are consistent, so I don't think this is a great measure, but you have to bear in mind that SAT scores was an official assessment. It was a national assessment that they have access to, and thereby they have no other statistics that they can recollect from. So you can try and imagine that all of these statistics will be plugged into a calculator and a score will be awarded to the student. I want to reiterate that even teachers can't be fully confident of what this actual grade will be, and consequently this is why the government has set up an appeals process which has been designated should you wish to challenge your awarded grade. Now, moving on to A-Levels. Now, very much similarly, A-Levels will be slightly different, as there should be a lot more assessments in place, and teachers will have progress tests, and also A-level students will have the backing of official GCSE results. There's also non-examination assessments, courseworks available as well. One thing again that I want to make clear cut is that these grades that are going to be awarded are not going to be the same as the UCAS predicted grades, since the examining bodies are very well aware of UCAS predicted grades being overinflated. What will happen here is that teachers have been requested to provide evidence of some sort to back their opinions, and this is where it gets a little bit ambiguous. Try and understand that when this decision took place, most students have yet to complete the entire A-level program, meaning that there is content that students have yet to complete, and some colleges that I work closely with have in fact told students to continue and not to stop their studies, since they could be asked to submit evidence of the remaining work, because the examining bodies, you have to understand, have yet to specify what it is that they are seeking in terms of this information that they're looking to collect. A lot of teachers are telling students not to step off the gas pedal, and this somewhat kind of makes sense. I'm also aware that some universities have now begun to award unconditional offers, but UCAS has also recently stepped in to put that to a halt. And just from this scenario that's playing out, you can see that differing parties have their own agendas as to what they're trying to do. So again, be mindful of the situation and don't just orientate with information that you like the sound of, because this is such a precarious time that no decision seems to be set in stone. Anyway, the results are looking to be published in July. No date has been set as of yet, and I personally believe the whole reason it's a month before the traditional route, which is usually in August, is purely to allow room for the appeals process. And also, if people aren't content with their results, then a brand new exam series is looking to be introduced at the start of the new academic year, most likely to be in September or October at some time. I can't see it being delayed any further than that because of other things like colleges and unis starting. But again, huge question marks arise as to how schools will accommodate for this, purely because we don't even know if schools will be open for then. And also, if exams are taking place in September and October, how will they be preparing the students for this? So there's many questions arising from this decision, and most definitely there's going to be a host of ramifications. I don't know how true this is, but I've been hearing that universities may even consider condensing the first year to accommodate for the changes and possibly start at a later date. But again, so I would say at the end of the day, you're the student and you know exactly where you stand. I'm trying to picture myself in the very same scenario and thinking back to my own A-level and GCSE journey. and trying to put myself when I was 15, 16 or 17, 18, would I be happy with a grade being awarded? Of course, it'd be nice if it was a grade that I opened up and saw and it was to my liking. I'd probably accept that, but I know at some stage I'd want to sit the exam just more so for a psychological reason, so that I know that I can prove to myself that I'm able to get these grades. Look, this new system could prove to be advantageous for you, or it may not be. And this is why I don't say this lightly or to try and jeopardize this so-called break period that you're going through. But really, can you consider it as a break or even a holiday? I mean, if you look all around you, the cinemas are closed, the restaurants are shut. I mean, the whole scene seems very gloomy and depressing. So what I would suggest is, whether you're a year 11 or a year 13 student, I would say, as difficult as it is to even say this or suggest this to you, I would say to continue studying. Get your material complete and compile all your notes together. And maybe when it comes down to it, you can even use this as evidence to ensure that you're not at a disadvantage from this new system that's been introduced. So in that regards, you'll have something to show. And when you do open up your grades in July, it may feel somewhat a little bit phony, a little bit fake, in the sense that it's not a true reflection of what you've truly attained. So this is why I'm saying that you may want to continue on with that, just in case you end up having to sit the exams. As some of you are aware, we are an exam center, and many students have already started to put their names down for the September exams. We are just waiting to find out what the actual guidelines and dates for these are going to be. And we will also want to completely ensure that if anyone wants to take up this opportunity, then regardless of what you think you're going to get in July, we want to ensure that a fair and due process is available to everyone seeking this opportunity. So I can't speak on the behalf of other people or other organizations, but I know that we will be the first to sign up for these exams. So if you have any questions or you want to get in touch, then feel free to do so, and I will genuinely try and answer your questions as best as I can. But again, to iterate, there are no further guidelines to how these grades will be awarded. And once this does become available, I will update accordingly. Well, I hope that you guys found this video to be of some value. Please do share it with others that could benefit from this information. And again, guys, I don't make any additional revenue from making these videos, so you can show your support by just subscribing to the channel. Thank you once again. My name is Amin, and I will catch up with you another time.